Welcome to Uplink, where we explore the world of digital infrastructure, uncovering the technology fueling AI and cloud innovation with the leaders making it happen. I'm your host, Michael Reed, and my guest today is Tito Costa, CRO at Brazilian data center company Elea. Tito provides unique insights into Brazil's technology landscape as a whole and what it means to deliver sustainable AI infrastructure solutions. So let's get into it. So Elea, how long's Elea been operating from a DC perspective?
So I always get pushback from my CEO about it, because whenever he says that Elea was founded in 2018, I always go and, well, officially Elea opened when it opens its sales department.
That's true.
That's when I arrived.
That's all that matters.
Yeah, that's when I arrived. But no, I mean, officially it's 2018. Elea was born by an acquisition of 5 data centers from a Chapter 11, an incumbent that was going through a Chapter 11 in Brazil. Alessandro Lombardi, who is the founder and the CEO of the company, bought those 5 data centers to start with in 2018.
And so now 9 data centers. So you've obviously, are you buying more data centers? And I know you've got a lot of capital that you've raised.
Yes.
So what's the plan?
So we started with those 5 initial data centers. We end up buying another one in Rio de Janeiro, a second one in Porto Alegre. And most recently, last month, we just closed a deal with 2 extra data centers in São Paulo as well. So now
new builds or existing data centers?
So the reason why, and all of them are existing data centers, but the last acquisitions that we did, which were those 2 data centers in São Paulo, the thing with it is that we acquired a facility that exists, but we acquired the land bank as well.
Okay, so
and the substation that has 100 megawatts of power available.
Okay.
So that's to address a topic that we will probably talk a little bit about up front. But yeah, that's one of the reasons why we bought it in that way.
So, I mean, we'll pivot quickly, like on that topic. What we're seeing globally is this, well, maybe even more pressure in the US, is this sort of insatiable demand for AI and all these GPUs, which has really been driven by sort of these hyperscalers. Mm-hmm. The challenge at the moment, and well, firstly, I'm curious as to whether that's playing out in Brazil, but also expanding on the challenge that the rest of the world seem to have, particularly in the US, is they can't access power. Mm-hmm. So they've as much of the land that you want, that's fine, but they can't get access to power. Mm-hmm. What I found fascinating is you guys are 100% renewable energy, A, and B, how's that playing out in Brazil? So,
yeah, that's a good thing about Brazil. If you look into the energy matrix of Brazil, almost 90% of it comes from renewable sources.
Amazing.
That's massive.
And what is that? What's driving that? Is it like hydro?
I mean, hydro is a big chunk of it. 45 to 50% of it is still hydro.
Yeah.
But every year, Brazil adds 4 gigawatts of power to its matrix. And from those 4 gigawatts of power, 95% of it comes from renewable sources, and all of it is solar and wind. So we are not adding hydro too much anymore. So eventually the balance between hydro and wind and solar will surpass.
Yes. So hydro always becomes base load.
Yeah.
And then you've got all these additional renewables coming through.
Yeah. So as of now, 90%. I think until 2030, we almost reach 95% of renewable in Brazil. And that's massive.
It's a lesson for the rest of the world.
Yeah. But and if you compare that in the region, Argentina is 30% renewable. Chile, 30% renewable.
That's amazing.
Mexico, 15 to 20% renewable. US, 20% renewable.
Yeah.
And the price of the power is also cheap. I mean, 6 cents of a dollar. It's very reasonable for 100% renewable, right? Yeah. So you don't pay extra taxes or anything to get renewable power in Brazil. I mean, I feel like we have a good solution.
It's working.
In the very short term, if you need power, you can come to Brazil easily.
So does that attract a global investment when it comes to sort of, hey, we're a cloud provider, we want to put more GPUs there, or is that, so how's the cloud provider playing out, and then how does that play out with GPUs?
I mean, it certainly attracts investors worldwide. I mean, Digital Bridge is invested in the country, Digital Royalty is invested in the country, Equinix is invested in the country, so all those big players are there as well. We, Elea, although we are a Brazilian company founded by an Italian, but he lives in Brazil for multiple years now. But we are a Brazilian company as well. Although Goldman Sachs is a partner with the organization, they have a minority stake on the business. Of course, there is a lot of demand, mainly because of the local population. I mean, Brazil is not a small country. You have almost 240 million people. So the local demand by itself already drives a lot of the usage of the cloud. But with the AI story, I mean, there is a lot of conversations around, hey, I need AI places or AI pods as fast as possible, and I'm not being able to access that in the speed that I want in the US. Where can I go? So this conversation, I have been having this conversation for at least 1 year, if not more, with all the usual suspects, all the hyperscalers, everybody, discussing about the possibility of coming into the continent. Some of them made a move already in other countries, mainly cloud pops. There are 0 AI pops in Brazil from those big hyperscalers. There is a small artificial intelligence deployment in Uruguay, but very small, nothing as you compare to what you see in the US. But there is a lot of conversations about let's set up AI over there and how we ship GPUs. And that's probably the only challenge that we still have a little bit of work to do, which is shipping equipment into Brazil. People tend to think about it and say, well, that's too expensive.
A little tricky, yeah.
It is, and it isn't. There are ways to go around those things and figuring out how to bring equipment into the country in the cheapest way possible. I'm not saying that it would be cheap, but it's way cheaper than what everybody's saying out there.
I think that's a good point. Yeah.
If you have a transparent and open conversation with a local player, like we are, for example, and there are ways of reducing your importation taxes into the country, so that could potentially come back into your business case and say, hey, Brazil was a problem, but now I'm thinking differently about how I bring equipment in.
Yeah,
that could be the last barrier to actually move into that direction.
Got it. That's awesome. And so with your customers, what are the majority of your data centers? Are they broken down between hyperscaler and sort of colo customers? What does that look like?
So we have 9 facilities, 20 megawatts operational, spread it across those 9 data centers.
And which cities are they in?
So São Paulo, of course, Rio de Janeiro, Brasília, which is a federal district in Brazil, and then Curitiba in Porto Alegre, which is further south towards Argentina. So roughly 150 customers, a good mix in terms of financial providers, so banks, schools, universities, enterprise segment, federal. We have a couple of federal branches. So it's a very good mix, a very, very good blend. And also, of course, the international customers as well. So I would say that we are very well spread. There is no one vertical that stands out. So if you're looking into it, I can see why Megaport looked at it and said, well, this looks like a good platform. That's mainly the reason why. We are very spread across multiple verticals. And also touching the cities where you have access to the cloud nodes. That's what you need, right?
And so that customer base, are you seeing them expand their on-premise data centers, a mix of cloud on-premise? How is that playing out?
So in Brazil, there is a number, this is probably 5 years ago. The numbers should have changed a little bit, but 80% of the Brazilian market share for data center, if you look into the numbers, are in-house.
An on-premise, servicing level, And that was how long?
5 years ago.
5 years,
But that's Brazil as a whole, right? If you take São Paulo and Rio out of that equation, because those are the most well-developed data center markets, right? So in those cities, probably there is a different number, right? But if you take those 2 cities out and you go Porto Alegre, Curitiba, Brasília, where we are operating, those numbers are even higher. Because there was a lack of a data center, a multi-tenant, carrier-neutral data center provider on those cities. Hence,
so you're saying 95%, like say 95% of that reason are inside their offices, not even in colo.
No.
So it's not cloud, it's not colo. They're actually still on their own premises. Okay.
And again, there are multiple reasons why this was the case. Lack of a multi-tenant carrier-neutral data center in that city. So latency was an issue. So I can't move my workload, everything into São Paulo. I mean, rough numbers. São Paulo, from Porto Alegre to São Paulo, you can reach almost 25 up to 30 milliseconds of latency.
Yeah.
It's a long distance. You can't move 100% of your workload to the cloud, right? So that's another reason why potentially
the application
you need an application closer to you. So you need to put that where you're going to put it. I'm going to put it in my office. And because I don't have another option in the city.
Interesting.
So when we joined with those data centers in those cities, I give you Porto Alegre, for example. Porto Alegre went through a huge flood last year. Almost like a Katrina version of Brazil. Yeah. It was horrible. And we have been talking with the local enterprises about moving into our own data center, right? But when the flood hit, there were a lot of data centers that went underwater. Because they were in lower places. I mean, they weren't prepared for it. We had equipments coming into our data center by boat. And we had to set up very fast. We had to set up POPs of those old data centers moving into our facility. Eventually, the market understood why there is a need for a data center, a person that only does that. So that's one way of showing and explain to them, hey, there is a reason why you should come to a multi-tenant data center. This is just what we do. We know what we are building. Not to say that you cannot do by yourself. I mean, I'm not calling anybody stupid. Of course, you can do by yourself. But there are efficiencies in scale that me as a data center operator can achieve that you can't.
Absolutely.
Just because I'm bigger and I'm serving multiple
resiliency.
And resiliency.
All the power
there you go.
And so forth. Flooding, evidently.
So you have to cover a lot of aspects. Certification, for example. We just got our IRAC certification for renewable. So all of our facilities got IRAC certified, showing to everybody that 100% of our energy is...
which is crazy. 100% renewable.
It is. That is part also of our sustainability-linked bond. We were the first company in the Americas region to actually release a sustainability-linked bond, which means that I have certain targets that I have to achieve.
Behold that.
PUEs, WEs, percentage of renewable usage, and women in leadership as well. If I don't reach those quotas, I get a higher interest rate in my debt.
Wow.
So that's how big we are invested in this thesis of, hey, this is only one country, one planet. We need to figure out a way to live together with everybody else. Let's do something about it. And we took a dab into it.
That's an awesome story.
We have this skin in the game.
Well, and that's the other piece that most people don't know is what's Brazil in terms of renewable energy in general. If I just plug into the grid, what's the renewable rate for the country?
So 90%.
90
is and again, compare that with Chile, Argentina, Mexico, US. They are all sub 30%.
Everywhere. So the whole world needs to learn.
And again, we are not surcharging you because we are using renewable energy. You can come into Brazil and pay 6 cents of a dollar. That's a very reasonable price
that's awesome.
for power, right? Of course, Brazil has the advantage of having the Amazon basin. We have a lot of rivers and etc. We don't have a shortage of water. But that's...
And the unique thing, one of the challenges for most renewables is wind, solar, and even tidal and a few of these other generations. The challenge is they don't get base load, whereas hydro always has a base load. It's a natural base load. And so the issue is you're constantly trying to fill everything with a battery, or then you're going to have to offset with coal or gas or whatever else, which is unique in that you got base load of hydro, which means you can then just go and put all the other renewables in there. So it's actually it's a cool story for the country, actually.
It is. Yeah, I totally agree. Right now we are in a very good position in terms of getting access to power. Power actually there are two problems with power, right? One is generation. Discuss it a little bit. The other one is capillarity. How do you transfer that power that is being generated in that particular place and distribute it to your data center? Because my data center is not in the Amazon basin.
Yeah, of course.
It's in Rio, São Paulo, Brazil. So how do you bring everything? And Brazil has an interesting aspect with it, which is in Brazil, you can build your power line, your power grid, and later on donate that to the utility company.
That's unique.
So that means you can expedite things.
Wow. Yeah, you don't have to wait for the government
to put transmission.
Okay.
Of course, there are some limitations about it.
Yeah.
I can have access to 500 kilovolt lines. I can only have access to 138 kV.
Yeah.
But again, it's a way to expedite things a little bit. You move those 138 kV to your facility, build that from the 138 to 1000 amps, you can pull almost 1 gigawatt of power already.
Yeah, wow.
I mean, it's a good starting.
Yeah, that is. Yeah. Actually, a lot of data centers in the US can't move because of distribution. It's not, in some cases, it's not the actual power itself.
Yeah.
It's the distribution that's the issue, and then that becomes a 10-year journey or what have you. Okay, cool. On the connectivity side, so what are you seeing trend-wise play out in Brazil? Like, as I'd say, like what you're saying is if 90-something% are on-premise, then they're first moving to a colo.
Yeah.
There's going to be some cloud component, and then there's going to be the connectivity between that. How's that all sort of shuffling together?
So the first time that we discussed this, I was in my previous company that I used to work with. When you look into the situations of those on-prem guys, they were right in the middle of the cloud boom. Cloud in Brazil arrived between 2014, 15, whatever. So they were assessing the possibility of jumping the cycle. And instead of going co-location in a facility and then going to the cloud, they go straight to the cloud. A lot of companies did that, but they did that without the correct preparation.
Yeah.
So their applications application wasn't ready for that. And now we're facing repatriation of everything that's going to the cloud. Now it's moving back to the co-location.
And is that cost related? Or is it?
A lot of it is cost related.
Yeah. They just gone, whoa, just got sticker shock when they added in there. Yeah.
So what I'm seeing now is that they are more conservative around, let's go to the cloud. No, let's move it into a data center. Let's prepare ourselves for a potential next move. And then we figure that out.
Yeah.
And this is another thing that Elea has to offer to the market that no other provider could offer, because we have the flexibility of having data centers in 5 different cities.
Yeah.
So if a company signs a deal with me, I can be as flexible as having an umbrella agreement that he signs, say, 10 cabinets, for example. That's 10 cabinets in the country. You put whatever you want to.
Yeah.
So if you move your workload to me, say in Porto Alegre, for example, to start with, but later on you go, you know what, Tito, I feel like we figured out our applications, etc. Let's move part of this to São Paulo or to Rio or to Brasilia. I don't care.
Yeah, you've got
I have that flexibility to spread that workload across multiple cities. I can give you more resilience because you have, if you are a national company, you have access to multiple markets. You have users in multiple markets. All of a sudden, with this kind of platform, can give you something that nobody else in the market can give you.
That's awesome. And so then the partnership between us, I mean, our vision is always choice, offer like instantaneous 60 seconds provisioning for choice. And ideally also an ability to expand globally. So obviously our reach, we're in 26 different countries. We're finally in Brazil. Thanks, Maddie's over there. Thank you, Maddie. But we're excited to land there. But we connect obviously to every cloud on-ramp pretty much on the planet and all these different locations. And everything's either delivered in 60 seconds or provisioned via code. How do you think the NAS market, which is what we have, I mean, we're new into Brazil. How do you think that'll play out? How do you think that'll be received by customers? And
I'm dying to see that offer play in Brazil. I mean, being in the industry for a while now, almost 15 years, I can see the benefits that a platform like that might bring into the country.
Yeah.
Again, we are a Brazilian company. The core model behind the company, of course, we are not a non-profit. Of course, we are for-profit. We are here to make money as well. But being a 100% Brazilian company, we are always looking into the possibility or the opportunity to help develop the country and develop areas that didn't have access to what we are bringing into. So if you look into the situation of the connectivity within Brazil, although we do have very good fiber providers, they are not automated.
No, it's always a long provision.
So if a customer of mine wants a transport system between city A and city B, I mean, if they have access to a platform like yours, for example, where they can actually get into, establish that connection, go up and down with that VC as fast as you are able to deliver, definitely there is a space to do it. And there is nobody doing that in the market. I mean, you as first entrants, I'm sure that you drive a lot of things into you.
I mean, our vision is always to do like cloud-like services to any customer, but as a network. And so we should always be the lowest cost, the fastest to deliver, and more resilient than what you could get before. And so usually it's that it's very rare to have a product that delivers all three. Typically, you get one or two. So we always see it as a no-brainer for our customers. But it's exciting to land in a country that I don't think we've seen a lot of NAS, and so we're pumped. So thank you for being the first launch partner with us there. Yeah, really exciting.
By all means, it's a pleasure. It's I've been talking with you guys for what, 3 years since I arrived.
We're late.
I mean, we're very excited for this partnership because, again, it touches from our standpoint, it touches multiple aspects of our strategy and our values.
Yeah.
As I was telling in the beginning, we value developing the digitalization in the country as well. Of course, you're starting your POP in São Paulo, already looking into Rio. Planning expansions in all the other cities.
Yeah, we want to operate. Yeah.
We as ourselves, we are also planning expansions in the country. There are opportunities to put data centers in places that don't exist yet.
Yeah.
So there's always a way that we can grow. You can follow as well. Put your platform over there, and we all benefit from it. As a community, as a country, as a data center platform. You guys as an us solution as well. I feel like it's a win-win scenario.
It's
glad you were able to see it as we are seeing as well.
Yeah.
It would be a blast. Yeah.
Yeah. For someone who's not familiar with Brazil, talk us through the cities that A, you've invested in, B, you're investing in, and why? Like, how does that play out?
Okay. So the main hub of Brazil is, of course, São Paulo. So São Paulo alone represents 40% of the market share of Latin America. So it's gigantic.
It's big. Yeah.
It is big.
Yeah.
But quick parenthesis here, as we say in Portuguese. How big is the market in Australia?
In terms of people?
In terms of power.
Oh, power. I don't actually know.
So rough numbers. 1 gigawatt of power across the whole country.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Give or take. In Australia?
In Australia as a whole.
That's it? The whole thing?
How big is in terms of population?
We've got 30, maybe 27 million people or something like that.
So we almost 10x you.
Yes.
And we have half the power that you guys have.
Oh, but
so clearly there is an opportunity in
we're burning a lot of power. These Australians. Well,
you're burning a lot of coal.
You know what they're doing? They're brewing a lot of beer.
Oh,
making a lot of meat pies.
That's a good way of looking into it. I never thought about it.
There's some good, there's a lot of beautiful Brazilian food. Somehow we've got to get on this. Maybe they're cooking it over coals.
So my point here is we are a big country. There is a big local demand, and there is a lack of data centers operators that are looking into that opportunity. Everybody is 100% focused in São Paulo. So the thing that Elea does is actually drives digitalization outside of São Paulo. Yes, we have 3 data centers in São Paulo. That's not to say that we are not operating there. Of course we are, but there are other opportunities in the country. So we got the country for the south, again, Curitiba, Porto Alegre, that's fairly covered. But if you go north, we only have Brasília, which is the federal district of Brazil, right in the middle of the country. Then you have all the northern region. There are 0 data centers there. When I say data center, don't get me wrong. There are small ISP POPs
and all sorts
like those kind of things.
Yeah.
But a real data center, 5 megawatt, multi-tenant, carrier neutral, whatever, we don't have.
Interesting.
If you go in Fortaleza, yes, there is a little bit of development there, mainly because of the submarine cable systems that are arriving or coming from the US or arriving from Africa. Everything connects there. So Fortaleza is a very important hub for interconnection, and there is a little bit of co-location there as well. But again, Brazil is a big country. Latency from Fortaleza down to São Paulo is almost 45 milliseconds.
So
again, you need to be present locally to have a little bit of your applications responding to a local traffic or your local demand there. So even though all the clouds are sitting in São Paulo, some of them you can access through here, but the majority of them are in São Paulo. So you need that connectivity piece to bring your customers securely from those points of the city into São Paulo to connect them there.
And all the clouds are in São Paulo. Yeah.
All the cloud nodes are in São Paulo. There are 1 or 2 that you can access via Rio de Janeiro, but the majority of them are in São Paulo. So if you look into that topology, there isn't a real need for connectivity, touching from all different sides of the country, bringing that thing into the cloud that sits in São Paulo. We ourselves try to do it. So we have all our data centers are interconnected as of today. So a customer from Porto Alegre, for example, can reach the cloud via my data center, my interconnection. They can reach São Paulo and reach the cloud. But there are more efficient ways to do it by using your platform, attach it with our geographic dispersion.
Yeah.
So that portfolio of giving my customer a local ability to have local applications responding locally for their users over there, and also giving him a secure access, layer 2 access, or even layer 3 directly to the cloud without going through any VPN to the internet, whatever. So security, resilience, and cost effective. That's definitely
much higher speed.
That's definitely a win-win scenario, and I feel like the customers will have a lot to take out of this partnership.
Ah, that's perfect. Perfect. We're landing there.
Yeah,
great choice.
Thank you.
Awesome. Did you get it?
Good.
Cool.
Thank you.
Awesome.